Voices from ground control. Unknown fighters, silver aircraft approaching from the southeast. The veteran pilot furrows his brow. Southeast? That's impossible. The nearest American fighter base is over 600 miles away on Saipan, far beyond the range of any escort fighter he's ever encountered. The 28-year-old squadron commander has been flying combat missions for 3 years. He's faced everything the Americans have thrown at them. P-38 Lightnings over the Philippines, F-6F Hellcats from carrier raids, even the new F-4U Corsairs at Okinawa. But those encounters happened near American bases or aircraft carriers. Here, over the heart of Japan itself, Japanese fighters have always ruled supreme. His ground crew chief, Sergeant Yamamoto, pounds frantically on the side of his cockpit. "Captain, emergency scramble, unidentified fighters approaching Tokyo from the south." Tsunanaga's blood turns to ice. From the south? Means they're coming from where exactly? He rapidly calculates distances in his head. The Americans captured Iwo Jima 5 weeks ago, but that's still 650 miles away. No fighter aircraft in the world has that kind of range. It's aerodynamically impossible. As his Nakajima KE-45 engine coughs to life, Tsunanaga catches a glimpse of silver glinting in the distance. Not the familiar dark silhouettes of carrier-based fighters, but something else entirely. Something that shouldn't exist. "All units scramble immediately," comes the urgent command through his headphones. "Unidentified fighters over central Tokyo." Racing down the runway, Tsunanaga feels a knot forming in his stomach. In 3 years of combat, he's never heard such panic in ground control's voice. As his KE-84 lifts off the concrete and climbs toward 15,000 feet, one terrifying question echoes in his mind. How did American fighters get all the way to Tokyo? What Captain Tsunanaga doesn't know, what no Japanese pilot could possibly comprehend in this moment, is that he's about to witness a revolution in aerial warfare that will shatter everything he believes about range, endurance, and what's possible in fighter aircraft design. The silver aircraft streaking toward Japan's capital represent not just a new airplane, but the death knell of Japanese air superiority over their own homeland. The age of the P-51 Mustangs' very long-range missions has just begun. To understand the shock coursing through Captain Tsunanaga's veins, you have to grasp what Japanese pilots knew about fighter aircraft in April 1945. Every fighter they'd ever encountered followed the same immutable laws of physics. More range meant less performance. More fuel meant fewer weapons. Longer missions meant sitting ducks limping home on empty tanks. The Japanese themselves had mastered this cruel equation. Their legendary A6M0 achieved its range by sacrificing armor, self-sealing fuel tanks, and pilot protection. The result was a fighter that could fly enormous distances, but died in flames from a single well-placed burst. Japanese pilots called it the flying coffin when American guns found their mark. American fighters had always represented the opposite philosophy: powerful, heavily armed, well-protected, but confined to short-range missions. The stubby P-47 Thunderbolt packed 8 50-caliber machine guns and could take punishment that would destroy a Zero, but its combat radius barely exceeded 300 miles. The twin-engined P-38 Lightning offered better range, but required bases relatively close to its targets. This fundamental limitation had given Japanese home defense a crucial advantage. As long as American fighters couldn't reach the Japanese mainland, the Empire's experienced pilots could focus entirely on destroying unescorted bombers. Every B-29 crew flying over Japan knew they were on their own once they crossed the coastline. Lieutenant Akira Watanabe, scrambling from Haneda Airfield in his Kai-61 Heian, had built his entire tactical doctrine around this reality. The Americans come in fat and slow, he'd told his wingman just 2 days earlier. Their fighters turn back at the coast. That's when we strike. At 0647 hours, climbing through 12,000 feet in formation with 5 other Japanese fighters, Watanabe spots them first. A formation of sleek silver aircraft diving toward the massive Nakajima aircraft factory at Musashino. But something's wrong with what he's seeing. These aren't bombers, they're single-engine fighters, and they're moving with the aggressive confidence of aircraft operating from their home base. "Control, this is Lightning 3, Watanabe radios using his call sign. I count 15, no 20 single-engine fighters attacking the Musashino plant. Type unknown." The radio explodes with confused chatter. Japanese pilots across the Tokyo area reporting the same impossible sight. American fighters operating with impunity over the heart of Japan, conducting precision attacks hundreds of miles from any known base. Captain Tomiro Ogawa, leading the 103rd Senti from Koisa Airfield, has 25 victories to his credit. He's fought Americans in the Philippines, over Okinawa, and in dozens of home defense missions. But as he closes to 1,000 yards on a formation of the mysterious silver fighters, he realizes he's looking at something completely new. The aircraft are beautiful in a deadly way, all clean lines and purposeful design. The elliptical wings remind him of the British Spitfire, but the nose is longer, more aggressive. Most unsettling of all, they carry large external fuel tanks under their wings. Yet they're maneuvering like aircraft at the beginning of a mission, not at the fuel-starved end. "Impossible," Ogawa mutters into his oxygen mask. "Those drop tanks should be empty 50 miles ago." What Ogawa doesn't realize is that he's witnessing the culmination of American industrial and technological genius. The marriage of North American Aviation's P-51 Mustang with British Rolls-Royce Merlin engine technology, optimized for impossible range. These silver aircraft have flown over 675 miles from Iwo Jima, fought a high-intensity air battle over Tokyo, and still have enough fuel to make it home. The P-51D Mustangs' internal fuel capacity of 184 gallons, combined with 2 108-gallon external tanks, and the Merlin V1650's remarkable fuel efficiency, have created something the Japanese never imagined possible: a fighter with a combat radius exceeding 850 miles. Flight Sergeant Kenji Nakamura, one of the few Japanese pilots to survive the April 7th engagement, will later write in his diary, "Today I saw the future of air warfare, and it terrifies me. If the Americans can send fighters anywhere in our empire with fuel to spare, then nowhere is safe. The homeland is no longer protected by distance. The age of American air supremacy over Japan has begun, carried on the wings of aircraft that redefined what was possible in the sky." Captain Masau Swanaga never made it home from that April morning. His KE-84 Hayate, found weeks later in a rice field outside Tokyo with its fuel tanks empty and its pilot dead from a single .50 caliber bullet through the heart, became a symbol of Japan's changed reality. The impossible had become routine. American fighters now owned the skies over the Japanese homeland. The psychological impact of that first P-51 very long-range mission rippled through the Imperial Japanese Air Army Force like a seismic shock. Flight Sergeant Kenji Nakamura, one of the few survivors of the April 7th engagement, captured the moment in his diary. "We have spent 3 years learning to fight Americans who must turn back at our coastline. Now they come and go as they please, with fuel to hunt us like rabbits in our own sky." Within days, Japanese defensive strategy underwent a fundamental transformation. No longer could pilots rely on the sanctuary of distance.
American P-51D Mustangs, with their revolutionary range of 1,650 miles, could strike anywhere in the Japanese Empire and still return safely to Iwo Jima. The mathematical certainty that had protected Japan's industrial heartland, that no single-engine fighter could cross such vast distances, had been obliterated by American engineering genius. The numbers tell the story of Japan's new nightmare. Between April 7th and August 15th, 1945, P-51 Mustangs flew 51 very long-range missions against the Japanese home islands, flying round trips averaging 1,350 miles, distances that would have been considered fantasy just months earlier. American fighters claimed 341 Japanese aircraft destroyed for the loss of only 62 P-51s. But the true devastation wasn't measured in aircraft shot down. It was measured in the collapse